I am recording.
All right, thank you. Hello, everyone. Thank you for attending tonight. We've got quite the turnout. It is very nice to see. My name is Daniel Hubling. I am very briefly still the president of the Neighborhood Association, but this will be my last meeting as such.
Lame duck.
Yeah, last little bit I can here.
He's gonna pack the court first.
So the first thing we need to do is take a look at the agenda. So can't do that. And so I'm going to share this. Oh goodness, why is that doing all that stuff? This, there we go. That's what I want. All right, can everyone see the agenda? Okay. We'll take a look at that. And if anyone has any last minute additions I think they need to add to our agenda this evening, let me know.
Can you add? Oh, never mind.
Oh, nothing. Do I have a motion to adopt the agenda as it stands?
So moved.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay. Agenda is adopted. Okay. Get out of this so I can see you again because that was weird. The next step, we need to move on approval of the general meeting minutes from last month. I'm sure everyone went over those in the newsletter this weekend. Does anyone have any concerns about the minutes from last month or things you think we need to rectify? Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes from September?
Motion to approve.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor, aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, minutes are approved. Next up is introduction of newcomers. This will be a little awkward because I can't say everyone's, but is anyone here? Is this their first meeting? First time they're joining us at a neighborhood meeting? Okay, Marie Reyna. We're going to put everybody on the spot, but I just want to thank you for coming out. Could you tell us maybe, was there anything particular that moved you to come to this meeting this month, or you just wanted to try it out?
Yeah, I just wanted to try it out. We've lived here for about 4 years now.
Okay.
My husband and my 3-year-old, you can probably hear her in the background, sorry.
Clearly very excited about coming to the meeting. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you made it out. I'm hoping this is a good one for you. Thanks. Anyone else? Let's see. Let's go to the other page. Anybody over here? All right. Maybe it's okay. So we'll get down to more real business. We have a presentation tonight regarding the SAISD bond election. So we have Superintendent Pedro Martinez here to talk to us some about that. So I'm going to go ahead and turn that over to him, and let's give him his full attention.
Good evening, everyone. Before our superintendent goes, I just wanted to introduce myself. I'm Christina Martinez. I'm your SAISD District 6 representative, and so I'm always happy to have the time with you all. Your meetings always coincide with our board meetings, but every now and then the stars align and we have the opportunity to see you guys, even if it's virtually. But I'm so happy to have the opportunity tonight. Our superintendent, Pedro Martinez, is on the Zoom with us. We also have some other staff, Willie Burrows, our Chief of Operations, and Tiffany Grant, our Chief of Staff. And then we also have Victoria Moreno, who is from the Blue Ribbon Task Force Committee. So all of us are here tonight to share with you some, the ins and outs of the bond that will be coming up on your ballot starting tomorrow, which is really exciting that we're already in early voting. So we wanted to make sure that we answered all of your questions that you had. Our goal tonight is to make sure that all of you leave feeling supportive of this bond and feeling supportive of voting yes for it. So with that, I will pass it off to our superintendent, Pedro Martinez.
Thank you, Trustee Martinez. And if you can allow me to share my screen, hopefully, if somebody can do that, I'm gonna try. Okay, so hopefully you can see this. And so I always feel it's important that we start with just talking about academics. And this is just one slide that gives you some context of where we're at academically. So this is my 6th year now. I started June of 2015. And one of the things that was happening when I became superintendent here in San Antonio is that our state was just starting to change its accountability system and was starting to give grades, first to districts and then eventually to schools. So we asked the state to give us, to tell us what our grade would have been for the 15-16 school year. That was my first full year, and that was sort of my baseline. And so you can see what the state would have given us back in the 15-16 school year. We made a lot of gains since then, and you can see where we're at as of the end of the 18-19 school year. That was the last year, ladies and gentlemen, that we had full testing, because last year testing was suspended because of COVID. What's even more interesting, besides us being a B district, by the way, that we've closed the gap now with our suburban peers. Both Northside and Northeast are B districts. But for 2 years in a row, during the 17-18 and the 18-19 school years, our district significantly exceeded the state in almost every grade level and every subject. And that was the first time that we had seen that consistently. In fact, when grades were given to schools, we tripled the number of schools that were A and B schools during that 2-year period. Our graduation rate has been rising. You can see it was at 84% with the class of 2019. Our dropout rate was at 10%. With the class of 2020, we will be at a dropout rate under 10%. That will be the first time in our district's history that we have seen that. We have closed the gap with our state and with our county. Over 80% of our children now are not only applying, but getting into college. More than 52% are actually going to college. And the reason not all of them goes, because some of them work. Some of them will actually work for a semester or for a year before they actually go to college. But more than 52% start right after high school. And again, we have now closed that gap with our suburban peers, with our county, and with the state. The state is right about 50%. What's interesting is if you look on the far right, the commissioner of education came to San Antonio ISD for the first time ever and announced statewide results at the end of the 18-19 school year. The last year we had full results. And it was interesting because you have to imagine there are 1,200 school districts in the state of Texas. We have 92 schools in our district. So imagine how many schools there are, right? I mean, it's a multiple of 1,200 across the state. Our commissioner announced results at one of our schools, Shank Elementary School on the south side. Why is Shank? Because Shank was one of 30 schools in the entire state of Texas that went from a C to an A, even though they had one of the highest poverty rates in the state. In fact, the commissioner said that San Antonio ISD, is a B district. We knew that just from conservative projections. But what we didn't know was that San Antonio ISD had the highest achievement gains of any large district in the state of Texas. And he said that with the 3rd highest poverty rate in the entire state, San Antonio ISD is showing the state that poverty will not determine the destiny of our children. So I wanted to just give you some context. We didn't have full testing last year, but I'll tell you the little testing that we did have, we had some testing in the high schools and we got results at Christmas break. Our high schools significantly exceeded the state, and it was every single high school across the board. So we had strong momentum going into right before COVID, and so that's how we ended last year. So I want to just give some context on academics, and let me just take 1 second and just see if anybody has any questions on the academics, and then we'll go right into our ballot questions. If not, I'm going to go right into the ballot questions now. Hopefully you can see that. Let's see.
I actually have a quick question.
Yes, ma'am.
So those improvements are really spectacular, and I wonder if there's any one or few causes that you can point to or changes that you made as superintendent.
I would say number one, ma'am, is that we have done an amazing job of both attracting and keeping strong school leaders and teachers across the district. We are keeping over 92% of our strongest performing teachers. And our survey data from our teachers has been positive every year for 4 years in a row, and it gets stronger. And the commitment, and we ask our teachers, why do they want to be in our district? And it's because of our children. So I've really seen just a significant, just a very positive attitude from our teachers, even though right now, as you can imagine, there's a lot of anxiety with COVID, but our teachers have never been stronger.
I have a question as well. This is Jordan Gowie. What's the current outstanding principal that SAISD has?
So right now, altogether, we have about a billion in debt outstanding, with much of that debt getting repaid over the next 10 years. In fact,
Does that $1 billion include interest?
no, that is without interest.
So we're looking at
And-
what, 1.5 billion, and you're asking for an additional 1.2, is that correct?
Yes, and I'll go into more details as we go into the presentation.
Is the student population continuing to decrease for San Antonio ISD?
We've stabilized. So we've stabilized in the last 2 years, and that's been the first time that we stabilized.
But previously, the student population has been decreasing.
Previously, the population was decreasing.
And how many years was that occurring?
Probably over 3 decades.
So for 30 years, it was decreasing. I just want to get clarification so I understand this correctly. So it helps me to regurgitate some stuff. So for 30 years, population was decreasing. Currently, with interest, the SAISD has $1.5 billion in debt and is asking to incur an additional $1.2 billion through 2 propositions, correct?
That's correct. So our board did approve two ballots. One was Proposition A for $1.2 billion with a B, and then a $90 million technology proposition for $90 million. So this is our largest and most extensive bond proposition. It would renovate 36 campuses. It would also provide safety upgrades for all of our schools, replace all of our aging chillers, as well as support new school models, including we have a new Montessori school at Rodriguez Elementary School, as well as our young women primary program at Page Middle School. The reason there's 2 propositions, ladies and gentlemen, is by law we have to separate technology now from buildings. There used to be in one bond. Now they have to be by law separated by 2. The most important thing I want you to know is that neither of these 2 ballot questions will impact your tax rates, and I'll explain in more detail why that is. Before I go into that, I'd like to ask Victoria Moreno Herrera to talk about how we got here, and it all started with the Blue Ribbon Task Force that we created that really got the chance to look at our needs and also made the proposition or recommendation to the board. Ms. Moreno Herrera, please.
Thank you, Mr. Martinez, and thank you, Beacon Hill. I will be brief because this is a lot of information, but I had the honor of co-chairing the Blue Ribbon Task Force this year with my co-chair, Mario Barrera. We worked together at the 2016 Blue Ribbon Task Force and campaign, and then we worked together again this time. But basically, your school board member, Christina Martinez, along with her colleagues, all were able to select 2 to 3 individuals from within the community to be part of this task force. And we were tasked with viewing all of the properties, touring them for need and assessing them for need, basically. And so we spent the summer months virtually and physically in person touring the schools so that we had a good eyes view as to what the district was recommending needed to be done at each of the schools. So we put a lot of time and effort into this. We spent we met 2 to 4 times a week over a 3-month period. We had lots of lengthy discussions about what we were seeing, what we didn't see, what we wanted to see, etc. And we came together as a group and unanimously decided to go ahead and present to the board our recommendation to move forward with the bond. But there's some more information that Mr. Martinez is going to go into as far as the specifics and the schools that were included in our recommendation.
You're still muted, sir.
Sorry. So let me just talk about what's covered in this bond. So we have 36 campuses. There are 2 categories. One is our schools that are at least 50 years old. In fact, we have a few schools here that are over 100 years old. All of them have at least 30-year infrastructure. And so these schools will be renovated for the first time, and really they're full renovations. One example is Young Women Leadership Academy. Young Women's Leadership Academy is one of our top schools, not only in the county, but in the state and in the country. Our young ladies are getting into top colleges all over the country, really colleges of their choice, as well as colleges here in Texas. And if you go to their campus, the old Horace Mann building, it's just, you go to the theater and there's actually a hole in the actual theater in the roof, and it's not a skylight, it's an actual hole. So whenever it rains, we actually have to put buckets there. And I'll tell you, for anybody who's interested, the girls would love to anybody to go visit, and they'll take you on a tour of the entire facility. And they'll show you, you know, inch by inch, all the need that's there, including outdated classrooms. But that's a great example of a school where the academics are so superior to what the facilities are showing. And that's a characteristic we see across all of our schools. Category 2 are buildings that have started, were renovated in phases, some with the 2010 bond and some with the 2016 bond, but the bonds were too small for us to finish out all the phases. Why were they too small? Because those 2 bonds resulted in tax increases. And so we were very sensitive on the impact on our taxpayers. So those bonds, so for example, in the 2010 bond, we built a brand new high school, Highlands High School. It's a beautiful high school, but we didn't touch the gyms. We didn't touch a lot of the outdoor buildings. We didn't touch the fields. And so for us, you know, with this bond, one of the things that the Blue Ribbon Task Force really made a recommendation or, you know, part of their package was you need to finish out these projects. Whether it's, you know, any new projects you start, they should be completely finished, or any existing project that was done in the previous 2 bonds, we should make sure we finish them. So those 15 projects would be the final phases from work that either has been done or is getting done as we speak.
Superintendent Jordan Gow again. Can you explain what the last increase was for ad valorem taxes with the previous 2 bonds?
So I can tell you what it was for the 2016 bond. We went up 12 cents with the 2016 bond. And I can get for you what it was with the 2010 bond because I wasn't here, but we went up 12 cents with the most current bond.
Okay, and so for anyone listening in, that's 12 cents per $100 valuation of your property.
That's right. That's right. And
so I have a question as well.
Mm-hmm.
And my name is Justin Nichols. I live here in Beacon Hill.
Hey, can we wait until he completes his talk before we ask these questions? I'd like to get a general idea of what is going on instead of having to jump back and forth, please.
I'm happy to save them.
I only have a few more slides, Justin, so I promise you it won't be long. So I'll finish them through. So again, what you just need to know about these renovations is that they're complete. I mean, when we list the school, we're talking about a complete renovation. So it's every classroom, every cafeteria, all the restrooms. Many of our buildings are not accessible for special needs children, but the buildings were grandfathered in because they were so old. So this would ensure that all of our schools are ADA and accessible to our special needs children. Upgrading all of the infrastructure, safety modifications, including cameras, indoor and outdoor, vestibules so that people can't just come in from the outside right into our classrooms, and of course our gyms and fields. We actually have 43 campuses that have infrastructure of at least 30 years. The ones that are bolded are the ones that are listed in this current bond. And our vision is that by 2030, we would want to have every one of these facilities on a path to renovation, all on the condition that, again, we want to make sure that these bonds, these proposed bonds or any future bonds do not impact your tax rates. That is the commitment that our board has made. You know, I was, you know, for the last 2 summers, we've been in the media quite a bit about our AC systems. And I love our community here in San Antonio, but I'll tell you, I still have not gotten used to the weather. Having 100-degree weather all the way through Thanksgiving is very different for me. And one of the things that, as we started getting 100-degree weather consistently for multiple days, my chillers all got together and cried uncle. And they literally said, we give up. And so what we discovered is that many of our AC chillers were over 15 years old. Some of them were so old that we had to make our own parts. And so with this bond, we are taking care of every AC chiller that's outdated. And that's another 30 schools that we will be impacting with this current bond. And then on the technology side, you know, we've done, with COVID, we have right now about 75% of our children that are learning from home. So we've distributed devices to every child, but, you know, one of the challenges we've seen is many of our children didn't have access to the internet and they didn't have devices. And so our goal with this proposition is that going forward, every child in our district should have a device. They should have access to the internet. These resources would sustain that, as well as ensuring that every one of our classrooms has the proper technology, whether it's a smart board, whether it's having a sound system, having its own dedicated set of devices, So that's really the goal, and we are partnering with the city to get more internet infrastructure for our children. These dollars would help sustain that as well. So let me just talk about the tax impact. So as I said earlier, one of our commitments that our board has is that these bonds, as well as future bonds, will not impact your tax rates. Why can we do that? That's because in the last 5 years, we have seen significant investment really occurring within our district boundaries. 5 years ago, ladies and gentlemen, one of the things that I would notice is that I would have to travel north to see any kind of economic development in terms of a lot of new construction, a lot of new investments. And I would always kid. I'd say, every time I go north, I'd see all these construction cranes. And I would ask, like, where are the construction cranes? I don't see any of them. And here we have the center of the city. We have downtown. I don't see any cranes. Where are the cranes? Well, ladies and gentlemen, in the last 3 years, we have seen cranes. We've seen cranes down Broadway Street. We have seen cranes in downtown. In fact, our tax base has grown on average at 9% per year. And a lot of new development, including Frost Tower, including Hemisphere Park, and just all across Broadway Street, you're seeing even new construction right now. So because of that, and then the other is other reason is that we have been aggressive on paying down our debt. So as interest rates have been declining, we have been refinancing, and then we use those savings to pay down debt aggressively. And so even though right now we do have debt outstanding, we are aggressively paying that debt down so that even within the next 10 years, we're paying a lot of that debt down, all the way down. And we have low interest rates. We have one of the best credit ratings in the country. And so we can borrow right now 30-year debt under 3%. And so for us, again, because of these conditions together, we're very comfortable that these bonds or any future bonds will not affect your tax rates. In fact, here's what's happening with your tax rates right now. We were at $1.51 in the 16-17 school year, and you can see it went up to $1.56 based on the 18-19 school year. That was the 2016 bond. So that was the rate that was going up. And so you can see now, though, in the 2021 year, we're actually now at $1.50. So we're actually below we were 5 years ago. And that's because our tax base has grown. And so therefore, as our tax base continues to grow, our tax rate is going down. And so for us, if I had to predict, I think this is what's going to continue to happen, even though we might see a little bit of slowdown because of COVID, but there's a lot of projects that have been approved, and many of those projects are in the center of the city. So here's our challenge that I would have for you is that in 2019, there was a new law that was passed that it says that any future ballot questions, so whether it's North Side, Northeast, Alamo Heights, all of us will have to put the words, this is a property tax increase. It'll be part of the ballot language, whether there'll be a tax increase or not. And so that is part of the law. And so of course, eventually, people get used to it and they say, oh yeah, that's just required by law, because you'll see it in every bond proposal going forward. And so for us, we're just trying to make sure we educate our voters, because again, when I show you what's actually happening with our rates are actually declining. And like I said, if I had to predict, they're going to continue to decline. So that's really it. So I'll be happy to take any questions from you.
Well, I suppose I'll ask a question, Superintendent, and I appreciate your presentation. But there is a difference when we're talking about tax rate going up or down and what people are actually paying. And I think it's accurate to say, at least, so for example, for me, I filed a lawsuit today against the Bear Appraisal District because my property taxes, the valuation of my property doubled from the year before. And that means that the tax burden for me doubles to San Antonio ISD, even though you're claiming that it's gone down a few cents, my actual tax burden out of pocket increases quite significantly. And I know the district is not responsible for the appraisal, but when we say that this is all resting on the back of Frost Tower and new construction, that really just isn't the case. And so I guess my question is what, I mean, this is the third bond in a decade's time, 2010, 16, and now 20. What assurance, because I've heard you mention several times before in your presentation that there'll be no tax rate increase for future bonds. what assurance do we have that SAISD isn't going to come back in 2022, 2023, or 4 and say we need another $1 billion? And you can claim the rate all you want, but all of us are losing more money out of our pockets as our property values exponentially increase.
Yeah, so Justin, first of all, it's a great point you're making about property values and how your taxes can change. So let me clarify one thing. So ladies and gentlemen, the only thing we can control as a school district is the rate, right? We can't control how properties are assessed. But let me explain what happens. So Justin, in your case, when your taxes double, and let's say they go from, and I'm just going to make up a number, they go from, from 1,000 to 2,000, right? Just as an example.
Sure.
That extra $1,000, we collect it. Our name is on the bill, right? You see our name.
I do.
Guess who receives that money? I literally collect it from you and I give it right to the state, because the state deducts my revenue dollar for dollar. And so none of that money goes to us for teachers. None of that money goes for us to, to buy devices or technology or for classrooms. It all goes right to the state. And in fact, and by the way, more communities are becoming aware of this, and you're starting to see campaigns, and maybe you'll even see lawsuits. Property taxes are one of the largest revenue sources for the state of Texas, and that money is completely unrestricted. They can use it for whatever they want. And so you're seeing communities like, for example, in northern Dallas, like Plano, Texas, we're starting campaigns literally to make sure that people know about it. Because it's
I graduated from Plano Senior High.
Oh, there you go. So they actually have, if you go to their website, there's campaigns that they're actually doing because people don't know this. So the school districts are becoming like, we're like the tax collectors, but yet the money is going to the state. And so for that reason, Justin, I would say this: we have no incentive to have your property be valued higher. We really don't, because even right now, when we look at, like our projections for the future, we're very conservative. And so, for example, what I would, if I had a wish, I wish every one of our residents was as brave as you are and challenging your valuations. Don't just settle for what people tell you. And then I'll tell you, one of the things that Trustee Martinez and I worry about is so many of our residents don't know that they can challenge the valuations because sometimes they just get them wrong, right? And so again, so that's just something just for you to know, but just know none of those resources come directly to us. They actually get deducted from our revenue. And so for us, basically the only legal way that you can keep that money local, whether your taxes go up or not, is through bonds. There is no other legal way to keep it local. Otherwise it goes to the state. And so Justin, know that again, this is something that Trustee Martinez and I have talked about, is how do we help our residents to know their rights around around property valuations, because we get branded as the ones causing it, even though we have no control of it. And we don't even get any direct benefit of it because it goes directly to the state.
Well, doesn't all school district property taxes go directly to the state and then the state redistributes it under state law?
No, so they do it just up to a certain point. So in other words, years ago, we got to a place where every dollar now is getting deducted. And so it happens after a while. So they let you build up a certain amount, and then after a while, after that limit, everything gets deducted.
I appreciate your presentation.
Thank you.
Superintendent Jordan Galley again. I'd like to echo Justin's comments. Thanks for the great presentation. As of right now, I am vehemently against Proposition A, but I will be voting for Proposition B. I see too many concerns here, and Justin touched on a couple of them, one of which is in 10 years, you've issued 3 bonds. We're looking at nearly $3 billion worth of debt when you include principal and interest on that principal, and you have a declining enrollment levels for 30 years, which you're saying is now stabilizing. What is the projections for student enrollment for SAISD 5 and 10 years out?
So, what we believe, and so part of this is, we need to show our families, we need to improve our academics. And so one of the things that I will tell you is that, for the first time, our schools are either meeting or really in most cases outperforming our competition. And we are seeing more families really, going to our options. The challenge was, when we were struggling academically, we struggled with, and we had a lot of, and we've always had a lot of competition, right? Multiple school districts, multiple charter operators, but our schools are holding their own. And so I believe Right now COVID is just an unprecedented time, but I think, from stability we will build. And I'll tell you, it's interesting, we're holding our own even during these COVID times compared to all of our colleagues across the state. So I have no doubt that our academics will get stronger because that's what we're seeing pre-COVID. And that,
But does SAISD do forecasting? Do you have forecasted enrollment?
So Jordan, what we see is that stability for the next 2 years with a build-up going forward after that. And usually when we were declining on average over the last 30 years by about 1%. So we could see ourselves building back up, even if it's 1 or 2% a year after the next 2 years.
Is this subjective or objective? Do you have data or any sort of forecasting that actually points towards this, or is this a gut feeling to the superintendent?
No, it's we have a lot of data, Jordan, and it's based on just the amount of demand we're getting from all of our choice programs. And so for us, the challenge we have is that some of our most popular schools, we need to expand those programs just to continue to, just to continue to bring in back more families. And so that's what we're doing,
Understood. Thanks for the presentation. I'll be voting no for Prop A, and I'll be encouraging others to vote no for Prop A as well. But I will be voting in favor of Prop B for the SAISD. Thanks again.
Can I just interject really quickly to Mr. Martinez? Being that, me and several others, and there are video tours that you guys as a community, if you want to on the website, you can go look and see the videos of the tours that we took of these schools. And it makes me sad to hear when people aren't supportive of A, because there's literally mold in some of these classrooms, holes in ceilings. These teachers do not have adequate workspace to help their children learn. The kids don't have a good circulation and air system. And it's no fault of the current administration, but some of these schools weren't touched in 50 years, 30 years, and they've just been neglected. And so it makes me, I have kids in the district, and I'm actually don't live in that school district. We pay taxes in the school district, but we send our kids to the schools in SAISD specifically because of the teachers and because of the kids that they go to school with. And I think across the board, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think there's about 48,000 students in the school district. Every single one of them and all the teachers that they are teaching them deserve a good environment to live in and to learn in. And I just wish that it may be Jordan, I don't know if you want to take a look at some of those videos or if you want to talk, but I really wish that people would take a look and be supportive of both.
I'm supportive of a good environment. I'm not supportive of what appears to be now a leadership issue spanning 50 years where the schools weren't taken care of. And I'm not willing to incur up to $3 billion in debt with principal and interest for an organization that clearly has been mismanaged for quite some time. But again, I'll be voting for Prop B because I think kids need a good technology background and the resources to succeed.
If you think our schools are equal, you are sadly mistaken. And until we vote out the people who don't believe in equal education here in Texas, then we must take care of this on our own through something like a bond issue. I'm not saying it's perfect, but education's number one, and education equality should be for everyone. And when you have kids that are in schools that are falling apart, and all the people in schools in other districts who have higher property values have multi-million-dollar freaking football stadiums. This is not right, and we have to support that kind of thing. I don't know any other way to say it, but it is just like there's no systemic racism in the United States. Well, guess what? There's systemic inequality in our public schools too, and we're to blame. Our so-called leaders are to blame. I don't know what else, the SAISD can do.
Hello.
Yes.
Hello.
Go ahead.
Yes, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, okay, yeah. This is Jack Finger. I'm with the Neighborhood Association. I have a question. I believe the school district proclaimed that it was not raising taxes on this bond issue, yet I look at the language on the ballot, and it says, quote unquote, "This is a property tax increase," unquote, and that's for both of the ballot propositions. Now, somewhere along the way, there seems to be a big glitch regarding the information being put out here, and
They said tax rate.
Yes, sir. So what it is so you're both right, but what it is that the new laws require us to add that language, even though what I've shown you is that our commitment is that we're not going to affect your tax rates, and if anything, our tax rates are actually declining. And so for us, it's one of our challenges that we have is that we have to include the language by law. And so when and every district going forward will have to do that. It's by law. And so we're trying to just make sure people know so that they don't get confused. But thank you for bringing that up, sir.
well, it seems like also isn't the very fact that what was I going to say, the valuations, if there's no rate increase but the valuations go up, well, will not our tax bills go up automatically?
So that's where we were talking earlier about how it's really important that all of our residents always look at what your proposed valuations are. So we don't control that. We only control the tax rate, and we don't get any benefit when you're paying more taxes because that money goes directly to the state. I collect it for the state, but then it goes to the state. And so for us, that is just something that we have to continue to work with all of our neighborhood associations on making sure that our residents have, that they know their rights and that they know they can appeal. It's not right that, I live in the district and my taxes have gone up every year as well. And so again, all of us just have to be aware of our rights.
Okay, well finally, I just want to say that if there is mold in the classrooms, it sounds to me like a management problem, and quite frankly, I don't see how just throwing all this money at it is going to help something that's even a deeper problem as being presented here.
So let me share with you, and it goes back to what the gentleman said earlier. I've been here in the district 5.5 years. Our district never had the tax base without significantly increasing your taxes to invest in these buildings. And so we did it piecemeal. It was sort of, a few buildings at a time. Sometimes we partially did a project, but remember, we're the oldest school district in the city and in the county. And so we have the oldest buildings. Like I said, we have buildings that are over 100 years old. By the way, the buildings are clean, they're well maintained, but they show their age, right? Even in your own house, things are going to happen if you don't invest in your house that are just going to happen over time, regardless of how well you clean it or how well you try to maintain it. And so for us, it really is just a function of age. So this is the first time, ladies and gentlemen, that our tax base has ever been at this level to support current and future bonds without impacting your tax rates. By the way, Northside and Northeast, Alamo Heights have always been there. They've always been there. That's why they can build a multi-$100-million high school and football field, because it does, they've always had the tax base. We've never had it. This is the first time. And it's not an excuse, but it's just, I'm just sharing with you what the facts are. And the reality is that for the first time in the last 5 years, our tax base has grown enough to sustain future bonds.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else have any questions?
So I don't know, Trustee Martinez or Victoria, one of you want to make some closing remarks, but thank you everybody for having us.
Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you again for having us this evening and for asking all of the questions that you've asked. I think, one of the things that is really important to us is that because we have made so many academic gains that we never thought were possible in such a short amount of time, we want the buildings on the outside to mirror the academic growth on the inside. And that's been a really big part of this campaign for me personally. We have schools right now that are B schools in parts of town where the enrollment has declined for reasons that are above us, right? We have community housing apartments that families once lived in, and those apartments are, done away with, and those families uprooted and taken from our district. And those sorts of things happen, and we have enrollment issues because of that. And so there are parts of our city, our east side particularly, that we just have not really paid attention to. But all of a sudden in the last few years, just amazing academic things have been happening. I'm talking about Gates Elementary, Martin Luther King Academy, wonderful, amazing academic programs that cannot compete because they don't have the physical attributes that some of the other schools that, that are competing for their enrollment, right? I mean, that's just where we are right now with academics. We are competing to show families that we have the best academic offerings, and we want to be able to have buildings that mirror that. So that is a big part of the work that we're doing. We have an amazing board and amazing leadership. The Blue Ribbon Task Force has people from all over the district that were representing the work and really, taking a very close eye on all the different schools, making sure that we were looking at equity, right? At making sure buildings, regardless of what part of town they were in, all got the same lens of making sure that they are up to what we need them to be. So thank you. I hope you check out the website. There's a lot of work that went into those videos. Like Victoria said, they really do tell the story of why our buildings need as much work as they do. So Victoria, I'll let you end today.
Thank you. And thank you guys for your time. I know that this is a lot of information to process. I've had the benefit of, learning about this and educating myself about it, over several months. So I'm going to leave my information in the chat, as long as a website in which you can get more information. I'd be happy, like I said, to sit down with somebody over a phone call or coffee if there are any questions, or if there are any doubts, or if you're on the fence, or if you need more information. That is what I am here for. That is what my co-chair Mario is here for, and we're happy to do it. But we would definitely love your support on both of these propositions. But thank you for tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you all for coming out. Really appreciate your addressing us. Before you all go, though, I just want to make sure I'm not great at following both the discussion and the chat. So did anyone put anything in the chat they'd like to bring up verbally right now? Okay, leave it at that. Thank you for coming. It was really interesting presentation. I think we all, whatever side we're on with this, I think we're all glad to hear it and get some of this from you. I really appreciate you coming. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, we're going to touch on a development project at 1206 West Agarita. And I didn't talk to them first, but I'm going to put them on the spot. Would either Mark or Cosima want to address this a little bit and give us some background for those of you who aren't familiar with this? Okay, maybe we have tech problems there. So,
okay, I'm sorry, Daniel.
Yes.
Cosima is the one who really knows that property better than I do. Yeah.
Can't do it because you're sitting next to me. Just do it on.
Cynthia, you need to mute yours if it's not.
Yeah, basically, the latest we've heard on it is that the people are going to withdraw their demolition request at 1206. Other than that, I don't know much.
Can you?
Sorry, did I fall down on the job?
We're
You
hitting.
guys hear me now?
Yes, you're on, Cosima. We were hitting a 1206 Agarita.
Okay.
Can you give a little background there and tell us where we stand?
So Mark is correct. They did withdraw their demolition permit. The neighborhood association has not withdrawn their request for review. That, I believe, should proceed. It will go in front of the Historic Design and Review Commission, and they will make a determination whether or not the home would qualify for historic designation. This does not mean that the property owner has to move forward with that, but it would set it up for a future owner to possibly do that, and it would certainly establish kind of a red line, a line in the sand if they were considering bringing it back for demolition. So I think the neighborhood association should not withdraw their request and move forward with it. I have not been able to get in touch with Anna. I should have done that today and I didn't. She's one of the representatives, but I will do that in the next day and find out what I hear from her they're planning to do. When I spoke with her last week, she said her dad, who is an architect, was working on drawings for the interior. I have no way of knowing, you know, there was a post on Facebook that their intention is to hire an attorney. I have no way to substantiate that. So until I've had a conversation with her, I can't really speak to that. But that's where we are right now. You know, there are several ways this could go in the next couple of weeks, but nothing will happen before November 4th. That's when it's on the HDRC agenda, unless the board would decide to withdraw the request.
I'm going to throw in a little background for those of you who have no idea what we're talking about right now. There's a property at 1206 West Agarita. It's a triple wide lot. There's a house on 1/3 of it. That's, according to BCAD, was built in 1940, but almost certainly was built in the 20s or 30s, just based on the style. The other 2/3 are currently paved with asphalt. It was all owned by one family, had been for some time. Recently turned over, and the current owners are developers who wish to, so up to date, had wanted to tear down the house and put up 3 duplexes. So that's what was presented to the association as their plans. And we were not thrilled about the idea of tearing down what we saw as a perfectly good house and push back on that some. So
I think this is a big win for the neighborhood, by the way. And I'm glad to see how everyone in the neighborhood came together to help protect our built environment.
I agree, but I also think it begs the question again about historic designation, because a lot of people came out and said, you know, no demolition, no new construction. And we cannot, OHP, the Office of Historic Preservation, cannot deny a demolition just because people don't want a house torn down or they don't want to see duplexes built. It has to qualify for historic designation. What would make that easier is if the neighborhood, either as a whole or in part, you can do it in block sections, for example, those neighbors would decide that they want to become a historic district. And in a historic district, for example, that home would be considered a contributing structure and would not be eligible for demolition. So that's the difference. So I think it's because of a lot of the interest that we received, I think this is a good time to perhaps restart that conversation. And maybe some of those neighbors around that area in those blocks, maybe they would like to be the first to start. So that's my thought there.
anybody else have any questions or comments on this property?
Daniel, can I add one thing? I'm sorry.
Sure.
Going forward, there will probably also be a zoning request for this property because in order for them to do the duplexes. A duplex is considered, so 1 to 2 units is allowed in our low density land use, and that's what that block is designated, and so that would be consistent. They would need to replat so that they only have 1 duplex per lot, but the duplex would be consistent with their land use plan. So, depending on which zoning they're going to ask for and some, and the design aspect, which the city will control through the permitting process, that the fact that they're putting duplexes on there is not, for me, an issue. It's consistent with our plan.
All righty. If no one else has any other comments on that, we're going to move on to the board election. Woo! Get warmed up for next month, the big election. Like a little taste of it right here. First up, we'll have a presentation of the candidates. Did you have a slate you want to put up, or I can do that?
Can you text me that doc you have?
Yeah, okay. I'll just,
Or why don't you throw it up?
yeah. Okay, let's see. I guess it even has to be there, does it? This. What is this? This. Is that working? Can anybody see that?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so standing for president in the coming term, Cynthia Spielman, for vice president, Jordan Gawi, treasurer, Diana Flores, secretary, Taryn Lindberg, and our director candidates are Joe Tick, Gina Hashimoto, I think her name may be spelled wrong there, apologize for that, Sean McMains, and Chris Cuellar. We're going to talk to our candidates, let our candidates introduce themselves a little bit. Stop that share. I don't want to put anybody too much on the spot. You don't have to give your full life story or anything, but just so everyone else knows who you are and give a little, maybe talk a little bit about why you're even interested in doing this, aside from just the pure power and all the graft money you get to take in. So we'll work our way down the slate, I guess. First up would be Cynthia.
So I was born in a small log cabin in Illinois. I'm sorry, that was a joke. My family, I mean, like, okay, your family embarrassment. Stop, Mom. So I think we are headed towards the future really quickly, and change is wonderful. And I love the step up that really know. I think that's a sign of health in our neighborhood. But I also think that we have learned some lessons from the past, and there's some things that we need continuity on. I've been part of the neighborhood association for 20 years. I think last year was the first time in at least 15 that I haven't been on the board. And so I think we are facing specific challenges in zoning particularly, but in lots of other areas, especially this year coming out from COVID and, you know, all the financial issues. So I am running because I'd like to see some stability in the neighborhood, and hopefully can bring some, you know, some of that to the board and the new board.
Jordan?
So Jordan Galley, I've lived in the neighborhood now for just over 2 years. I served on the board. Actually, I joined the board a couple months after I moved in with my fiance. I'm a former firefighter paramedic. I've been gone for the past 6 months because of my role in the COVID response for the state of Texas. But I'm running again because I worry about our legacy residents and how some of the changes that Cynthia was describing, what that might do to them, the fabric of our neighborhood, the things that make our neighborhood unique, and then anything I can do with the board's assistance to help improve social determinants of health, which is access to health, housing, etc. Just making sure that everyone has what they need and that we keep this amazing community and the fabric that makes it intact. That's it.
Okay, thank you. And Diana, could you introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Diana Flores, and I've been in the neighborhood going on 3 years, but I actually grew up not too far from here in Los Angeles Heights. And I think my husband and I, when we first moved in here, December 2017, we felt like we very strongly about helping out the community and getting involved. So feel very passionate about this community, and got the hang of being treasurer. So I thought I'd try it again for another year.
Cool, thank you. Taryn Lindberg, our candidate for secretary, is actually not available right now. She and her husband are on a multi-state trip out west, and I don't know if they even have access to any Wi-Fi right now. So she's gonna have to take a pass on that.
But I'm gonna.
Oh, do you have a...
She's Alrighty, yeah, so Taryn, yeah, it's their 1 year anniversary and they were driving through Idaho with no connection right now. So, but she did send me a little statement. Can you hear me? I think so. Okay. So she says, my name is Taryn. I live on Fulton Avenue. My now husband and I moved into the neighborhood on March of 2019. You may have most likely met me or my husband, Justin. I look forward to being able to serve the community that I've grown to love. I'm sorry I could not be there for the election meeting. I'm currently driving through the country for our 1 year anniversary. So, yeah, you may have met Taryn. She's great. So that's all I got.
Alrighty, now for our directors, we're gonna go in the order it's on my list, which seems kind of random, but first up on my list is Joe Tick.
Hi everyone, my name is Joe. I'm new to the neighborhood. My husband and I moved into the new properties on Magnolia at 1006. Stop by and say hello if you're walking by, but very excited to be able to serve the community. I think we need some fresh blood and some younger folks that can stay on for longer periods of time, and to try to also add few new things like adding an Instagram to our neighborhood, or potentially just doing some more creative events. Very excited to be a part of it.
Thank you. Next up, I have Gina Hashimoto.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Great. I've been in the neighborhood going on 30 years. We moved here as my husband and myself as a young couple.
Whoa, well.
I'm sorry. So we've been a part of this neighborhood and we've watched it grow. We've watched families move in. We've watched families, pass their homes on to their children. And we just love this neighborhood. I grew up on the west side, but Beacon Hill has been my home, and I want to see it grow. I want to see, families passing on the homes to their children, their grandchildren. It's just a wonderful place. I love the sense of community. I love the way everybody comes together, and that's what I want to see continue. I want to see everybody participating. I love the stuff that goes on with the movie nights that Kim sets up, with the food trucks coming in, the parks, the kids, everything. It's, this is going to be my home until the day I just drop dead in my home. So let's keep it going. Let's get get everything on the right track, and hopefully we'll make this neighborhood, better with every passing day.
Thank you. Next up, Sean McMains.
Sure. Hey, y'all. Sean McMains here. I grew up in San Antonio, ended up moving away after I graduated from high school. And my wife and I got to return to Beacon Hill about a year and a half ago. My wife came down from Chicago, and when we were looking at places in San Antonio, she was like, well, where are the neighborhoods in San Antonio? And I was like, I grew up in the suburbs up in the northeast side. I don't know where the neighborhoods are in San Antonio. So we went prowling around, and we're delighted to stumble across the property we ended up at in Beacon Hill. And as we were just sort of evaluating alternatives, we're really taken with what we saw of the neighborhood on the website and the newsletter, and just how active and cohesive the neighborhood seemed there. And then we came down for Porch Fest in 2019, and it was just kind of a magical day. Ended up meeting all kinds of wonderful people and seeing even more of what is delightful and unique and charming about this particular part of San Antonio. So have been excited for the opportunity to serve and to help give back a little bit, and to help the area continue to grow into what it has the potential to be, while also not neglecting what it has already been and what has created the value historically. So have been excited to be able to be a part of that this last little bit, and look forward to doing more.
Chris, can you hear me?
I sure can. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Wonderful.
If you could just introduce yourself, please.
Yes. My name is Christopher Cuellar. You might have seen me at past meetings. I'm the one picking up chairs at the end of the night if you stuck around. And I represent the 300 block of Blanco Road. My family has been a part of Beacon Hill since the 1940s. As a matter of fact, my great-grandpa built the house that I'm sitting in right now, and he stayed here until the day that he passed away, which was in the backyard. Till he dropped dead in the backyard. So, yeah, that makes me a fourth-generation resident. And with that being said, I feel it's my duty to continue to bring visibility to Beacon Hill and encourage proper revitalization of the area. And I just look forward to working collectively with all of you in keeping our community safe and improving the overall quality of life, while at the same time preserving the history and charm that has made Beacon Hill what it is today. So thank you for allowing me to speak with you guys, and look forward to working with you.
Thank you very much. Did anyone have any questions they wanted to put to any of the candidates?
This is Susan. I do.
Okay, go ahead.
For Ms. Hashimoto, in your greeting, you talked about getting Beacon Hill onto the right track. Would you please expand on that? What do you think is wrong now? Nobody else has said anything really negative, and I was just curious.
One of the things that I've seen over these last couple of years is I'm not opposed to homeless people. I mean, I go out there and I help. I had to deal with, and you've probably seen it on our Facebook, Camp Lowwood. It was the worst. It took me a long time, as well as getting all of the neighbors and even, you know, way down the street, having people help me and reach out to, you know, our city representatives to try to get that cleaned up. There's always a place for the homeless. I mean, there are options for them to receive help, but some of the particular homeless people that I had to deal with, after they even received help from the city, in the duplex alone, they were each given $3,000 to move, to find new residents. They didn't do that. They spent that money on drugs, on liquor, on whatever they were doing with it. I only had to deal with one person in particular that I knew what she did with the money. And that's not what I want to see. When I look out my front door, I want to see kids playing. I want to see people on their porches enjoying the evening. I didn't want to look out my front door and see people shooting up drugs and having syringes on the ground, or seeing mounds of trash, you know, in the front yard, on the streets. Those are the things that I want to get cleaned up. And I'm very vocal when I see people posting about some of the homeless that are out there, and, you know, and the neighbors worried about, you know, going outside and being approached by them and harassed by some of these people. It's not what our neighborhood is about. And there is a lot of help out there. Some of our neighbors go out there and they do help them. But I have to say, if they really want help, Haven for Hope is there to help them. And yes, they may be at capacity right now. There were people out there who come from the city to offer assistance, and they'll flat out say, no, I don't want that. I don't want to have to follow rules. I don't want to have to throw my beer away before I walk into the front door. You know, it's an ongoing battle. And I know a lot of it is has spilled over from the Delview area. And so we're dealing with some of the homeless people that have moved from there to this side of the track. And these are the things that I don't want to see in our neighborhood. You know, we have this beautiful park that was set up, and sometimes you can't even walk through there because you don't know who you're going to run into. It's gotten out of hand. And these are the types of things that I don't want to see when I walk out my front door or my back door. You see a lot of people now putting on cameras, security cameras, because they have to watch their property when they're away. When I moved here 30 years ago, you could leave your front door open. There was no problem. You didn't have to have the security cameras. You didn't have to have any of that. Now, you know, you're lucky if you can go out and have dinner without coming back and someone breaking into your home.
Thank you. And just to say, 30 years ago, when I moved in, I was welcomed by being broken into, so.
Oh my goodness. That's not the, you know, that's horrible. And I've only had, and my home wasn't even broken into. I left something out on my front lawn, and that's the one and only time that I've ever had something taken from my property. It was a bird cage. So other than that, I've never had my property, you know, anybody come onto my property, but I also have very large dogs. So, and I always said, if you can get past my dogs and take away something that you're carrying and not get bit or dragged back down, then you're more than welcome to have it. But when you have a 160 or 180 pound dog chasing after you, you're not going to get very far. So
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Did anyone else have anything they wanted to ask the candidates?
If any of the other directors have any particular goals that they didn't, or candidates, any particular goals that they want to talk about.
Okay.
Go
Go ahead.
Well, like I said, I represent the 300 block of Blanco Road, and I kind of feel that we don't really get much love down here. It seems to me like just south of Woodlawn is where it cuts off. So I kind of just want to bring more recognition to this part of Beacon Hill. There's some new developments going on. You've probably seen it on Blanco and Fredericksburg. A lot of new things going on. So just kind of want to, you know, bring some attention down here. That's all.
Gotcha.
And one of the things that's on my mind a little bit, if I may too, is that our neighborhood has something like 2,200 households or something along those lines, Daniel. Yes. And it seems like the number of people who are involved in the neighborhood association goings on is a really small percentage of that. And I don't know if that's a sense of disenfranchisement or a sense of not being able to get traction or cultural divide of some sort, or if it's just lack of interest. But I would dearly love to see a much higher percentage of the folks who are actually part of the neighborhood feeling involved with what all is going on here. So not quite clear on what the best approach to that is. I think some of the low commitment outreach kind of things, the movie nights and the stuff in the park has been useful for getting people at least kind of aware of some of the things that are going on. But being able to field more of our material in Spanish, I think would be really helpful for some of the folks around. And would love to have more conversations with folks about what might be useful there.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Can I say a few more words, Daniel?
Certainly.
I think what I'd like to bring to the table is some more creative activities. I think I see at least a dozen people walking their dogs around the neighborhood, and I think that we do have a lot of animal lovers, as we do have a lot of cats that are being cared for in the neighborhood. And I think it's important to find ways to bring the community together through, you know, there was an ice cream social, and we do, I believe that there are still planning on doing the porch, the music porch sessions that I hear you guys have done in the past. I work for an events company / alcohol company, and I think I've done many events in my day to know how to appeal to everyone. And I think it'd be very, very exciting to bring younger folks, older folks, pet lovers, and just all kinds of different people together through more creative ways, and also integrating everyone through Instagram and being able to photograph a lot of these activities to drive more masses. So I think we'll see an increase in participation with our organization if we do events that bring out people who have kids, pets, and different interests. So thank you so much for your consideration.
Come to the holiday party. We have a huge crowd.
That's great.
Thank you to all. Any last questions for the candidates? All right. So, okay.
Or feel free. Okay. Well, so I put a link in the chat to pull up the form. It's not going to work right this second. I guess actually I can release it. And so, but it's also on Daniel's screen that he's sharing. One thing to be aware of is that to be able to vote, I know that we have, I imagine that you know this, but we have some representatives from our elected officials here. You guys are not members of the neighborhood association, so you can't vote. But also in order to vote, you need to have attended at least one meeting in the previous 12 months. And so that does not include today. So if you know, it's on the honor system. And if there is more than one person using one computer, you're both able to vote. You just will need to use 2 different email addresses. And so it'll probably take a few minutes for everyone to get all that figured out and get your votes in. So I don't know what we'll do in the meantime, but that's all I have.
Thank you. So please go vote now. Do it. Do it. Go vote.
I
Come
lost
on.
everything. It won't let me in.
What in what way?
It says it's not.
I refresh it. I had to refresh it and it'll let me in.
Okay.
Okay. Does anyone else have any trouble getting to the ballot?
Yes, it's taking a while to open for me.
And it does say this on the form, but when you are voting for director, just be sure that you only vote for 3 options. I wasn't able to build in a way to limit it, so just pay attention there. Y'all, we can hear you.
Close your mics.
Close your mic.
Or vote for Chris. It's up to you.
Cynthia.
What?
Your mic is on.
Mute your mic.
You stop yelling at me. God.
I did that before.
Yes, I don't have your vote, Cynthia. Sorry about that.
I can't get to my thing.
Let me vote then. Can I get to vote?
First thing you do is mute yourself.
Both of you.
Both of you. Mute yourself.
I can't. I would have if I could have.
I won't because I don't.
You know, I'm going to add something. Just there's a lull here that all new members to the neighborhood and stuff should know that we are not a homeowners association. We're a neighborhood association, and there's a big difference. That's why we don't have dues or anything like that.
I need to reach all my
I do?
Yes.
I don't know how to make a martini.
Oh, for Christ's sake, it's the martini.
I don't know.
Justin, you're unmuted about your martini.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, no. That's
I hope
awesome.
you brought enough for everybody.
Exactly. You have to share.
Is anybody still working on voting?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Just the martini, it sounds like.
I can't get back to the original thing.
Well, since we already said the martini, I'll take the lull to say that I did have the privilege of serving on the board for a year and under Daniel's leadership. And I want everyone to know that the association and everyone in this community has been terrifically served by someone who really embodies the spirit of a presiding officer, who has always been welcome to different views and different ideas, and has been a fantastic facilitator and guide for me during my term. And I wish everyone great luck in the new board, but everyone owes a debt of gratitude to Daniel, and I'll say Kim, because she bears a lot of the weight as well. But on behalf of a lot of folks, thank you to both of you.
Hear, hear.
Yes,
Thank
echo
you,
that.
Justin.
Thank
I
you so
appreciate
much.
that.
The power behind the throne.
I second, third, that agree. Agree.
We're not losing Kim,
lady.
too, are we?
No, I'll never be on the board. So
She'll keep doing what she always does. Okay, let's see. Is there anything else here I need to adjust to?
It's like me, I'll never be on the board again. I was many years ago, because for me, it's, well, here I can work on the newsletter and getting it routed, or you can have me on the board. You can't have both. So I understand, Kim, not both.
Okay, so I think everybody's voting while we're getting the details worked out there. You need a little longer, yeah. We're gonna move on to committee chair reports. I'm not sure who's where. I can't see everybody, so I'm just gonna pick Jerry. Do you wanna jump in, and do you have anything you wanna throw in here?
Good. Let's see. Joe, I'm the Heart of the Neighborhood Association committee chair, and I'm going to try to get you to become the committee chair, because we're the ones who do the socials and things like that, or a lot of the parties and stuff. The linear park work has started on it. I don't know if anyone's been over kind of off of Linwood, so we have movement on the park, and they're poured, I believe, the exercise station, and have smoothed out some of the trails up on the north side. And I've got Dara sitting here with me, and so we're going to go ahead and do the community garden, and we're going to go finish our dinner.
Can I talk?
Yes, please do.
Okay. Let's see, the garden work day is going to be this Saturday, which is the 17th. It'll be at 9 o'clock in the morning, and the garden's looking good. If you don't want to come work, just come enjoy the garden. So.
And I want to give a big kudos to Blake McAnally, who did some great welding work on the new entrance to the garden. The garden committee got a grant from Green Spaces Alliance, and Sean and Blake and I basically built a new trellis entrance to the community garden.
You were too generous with your praise. That credit goes to you two. Bravo.
You did like one weld. You were holding stuff. It worked out.
True.
Thanks to Cheryl too for bringing us water.
You're welcome.
Okay, let's see who else. I guess Lucy Eller did not make it tonight. What else do we have? Not exactly committee chair, but Diana, did you have anything from the treasurer's reports you wanted to note?
No, just to say we got a nice donation from the Web House for the plate sale, $200. So that was a good plus for us this month.
Yeah, that was excellent. So he's kind of at it again. He had another sale this weekend, not for the association at large, but the proceeds for this going to go to an elderly resident whose lawnmower had been stolen, and he got him a replacement lawnmower. So
I have a comment. Just a quick comment on Treasure. I don't know how long you've been doing it, but I really appreciate that the newsletter, it has its own line now, because it always, for years, it was just included under general. And so thank you very much for making that a line item.
Sure.
Okay, who am I missing here,
Me.
committee-wise? Are you able to?
Zud.
Yeah,
Duh, yeah. You people already talked. I talked. But what else you got besides Agarita? What's that got going on?
Mark, do you want to take it or do you want me to? Okay, I'll do it. We have at 1147 West Ashby, we had a developer come at our last meeting looking to put 4 attached units there that they would sell. So 4 single family. Because it's more than 3 units, our NCD design standards require that those all come within one structure. So they're 4 attached units. And then of course we've got 1206 Agarita. We also have been working with code on the code enforcement stuff. They seem to be giving people the time they need to make those corrections. Regarding the web house donation for the gas station, Susan is also helping that same homeowner to fill out paperwork for the owner-occupied rehab program. So it's nice to have the lawnmower, but he's really got more serious housing issues going on there. So we're hoping that we can get that application in. It's unfortunately a lottery system, so even so there's no guarantee that he would get it, but we want to try to explore some assistance for him as well. So, and we're looking forward to hopefully having former President Daniel Hubling and also former board director Michael Clancy join the subcommittee. And we could certainly use the extra manpower. There is a lot going on in this neighborhood with development. We have a development going up at 1132 West Mistletoe. So we just want to make sure that everybody's following the guidelines. But that's what we got. Thank you.
Yep. Kim, did you want to talk animals or?
You can just say, I'm trying to get
Phil, what's going on? So we hit, I guess it's not that, I don't know how often it happens with BHANA, but we need to have a runoff. We had a tie. So we're gonna need to vote again. So you can see we're gonna break that tie. So Kim is frantically trying to put together a new ballot because that's the way it works unless we all have fake emails we can use. So she's making a new one. So while she's doing that, we're going to move to our
Was there any report on the Tier 1 Neighborhood Coalition?
Cynthia still available? Cynthia, can you talk about Tier 1?
Yes. So on November 14th, we're going to hold our first virtual workshop for neighborhoods called What's in Our Neighborhood. Mostly it's to help understand land uses and how to navigate zoning and when someone comes to a request for your neighborhood. Beacon Hill, fortunately, is way beyond that. We have an amazing ZUD committee who's been doing this for a long time and goes to all the neighborhood or all the zoning and Board of Adjustment meetings and attends city meetings, but other neighborhoods are not quite so fortunate. But for those of you who just want to have a basic understanding of how this works in our own neighborhood, especially when we have, in a couple of years, we've got our sub-area zoning community plan coming up, and we have large area rezoning coming up. You might want to do this, and we'll send out an invitation on Facebook for the meeting and through, the newsletter. But it might be very valuable for people who are just coming into these issues, a way of understanding our own community.
Thank you. Now we're going to slide over to Sidell Brooks.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Sidell. I'm with Councilman Trevino, District 1 liaison. Just a couple quick updates. I won't hold you too long. Our office has been mostly focused on homelessness concerns and property tax issues at this time. As far as constituent services, we've definitely seen a lot of people wanting to contest their property taxes, and while we don't deal with that directly, that's something we can, help you navigate if you have questions or need to get a hold of somebody to speak with one-on-one about that. Additionally, with the homeless issues, as you may know, District 1 has started in a homeless task force that's separate from the cities. And social interns at this time to actually go and interact with homeless folks one-on-one. So far, we've been able to take, I believe it's dozens of people off the street. I think the total count was like 35 in the couple of months it's been started. And it's also something that I believe in the budget was just approved for additional funding. So it's something that's set to go citywide. We're definitely excited about it. We know there's various homeless concerns, and sometimes folks do choose to interact in behaviors we don't like. We can't make them take the help, but we want to make sure we can offer it and talk to them one-on-one and see what it is we can do. It's not something we can just arrest away or continue to push people to other neighborhoods. As you all know, our office is also in Delview, so we see it firsthand. We have folks sleeping in the front of our office sometimes, and we try and interact with them. We try and help them. But we do want you to feel like your neighborhood is safe. And, District 1 is coming up with new innovative methods of trying to address the issue versus just moving.
Okay, sorry, distractions. All right, next up, we're gonna go to Bethany Gutierrez.
Yes, hello, my name is Bethany Gutierrez. Apologies, but my camera isn't working properly. But I am the new district director for Representative Diego Bernal. So I have another office update besides that. We have Zachary Cochran, who's our new chief of staff. And I just wanted to give y'all my email. I will post it in the chat box so y'all have it. But basically I deal with constituent services or anything having to do with scheduling the representative. You guys want to reach out to me directly and I will get y'all in contact with the representative. Zach heads our legislative policy, which is what we're working on currently for the 87th legislative session. If you all would like to advocate for a policy or have ideas, you can email Zach. And I'll put those, like I said, the emails in the chat box. I will also, so on the ground, we are working with individuals who are needing and having issues with unemployment. Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Okay, sorry, I just heard some feedback. We are helping individuals with TWC cases, which is Texas Workforce Commission cases, or any unemployment things. If they're coming across any walls or barriers, please reach out to me, and we will help with all of that. Because we do have a TWC liaison that we work with directly for our constituents. We are also assisting individuals to get connected to CPS energy assistance. Other resources they may need, such as, during the pandemic, along with unemployment, I try to get people involved, connected to SNAP benefits, which are food stamps, things like that. So if you all know anybody, please send them to me. We are working from home, so the best way to contact us is through email that I will place in the chat box. And then, but we are checking our phones daily in the office. So we periodically throughout the day will check the phones, and we will get back to you guys. We have several staffers in the office who are well equipped to handle any sort of situation. A lot of them are social workers or training social workers, so they are very good with constituent cases, things like that. If anyone is coming across any red tape, please, like with the bureaucratic systems, anything like that, please reach out. Many needs are being met and exasperated during the pandemic, and we understand that, and we just want to know that this time is very emotional time for everybody, and it is filled with grief and change from the systemic, I think somebody earlier had mentioned systemic racism and all of that, and we were very aware, and we want to just give you all that time to reach out to us and express y'all's feelings, because that's what we're here for. In regards to voting, I just want to do a little plug and make sure that everybody is encouraging their networks, their families, their friends, the youth that they know, grandchildren, to go and vote. Tomorrow is the first day of early voting. Make sure that all of your loved ones have a plan to go vote. We're going to send an e-blast out at 8 a.m. So if you all we do not have your emails, please put them in the chat box, and I will save them so that we could add them to our e-blast for tomorrow. But it's basically resources and how people are going to be able to have protection during election. And also we'll have, where the locations are. All the locations open up at 8 a.m. I'm sure y'all know. AT&T Center is on that list, and the first one on that list. I don't know if you all have any questions for me or anything like that.
Okay, looks like we're good.
Awesome. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you, Bethany. Next up, Annalicia.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Great to see you all again. I'm going to try my best not to repeat what Bethany's already announced. Much like Representative Bernal's office, our office is also closed for in-person meetings. However, all our staff every day, we're answering the phone and taking messages. So TWC is a big issue that, one of those big issues that we receive. CPS, Child Protective Services, is another one of the issues that we've been getting a lot of calls about as more children are at home. But any state issue, any state agency, if you are having trouble navigating those systems, including your public schools, please feel free to reach out to us. Our number is 210-733-6604. We are conducting meetings virtually via Zoom or over the telephone. So if at any time you need to meet with the senator, either individually or with our staff, or collectively as an office, if you want, as an organization, you need to meet with the senator, as you have in the past around your legislative priorities, feel free to reach out to us. I am your liaison, so I can connect you. The senator wants to remind folks and thank folks who are doing what they can to stem the impact of COVID-19 by taking care of all the protocols so that we can get out of this pandemic. So thank you for all that you're doing, and let's continue doing that. As we get ready for the legislative session, and again, in the past, Beacon Hill has been one of the organizations that's reached out to us early around November with a legislative agenda. So we want to encourage that we are having a number of town halls. There are Senate District 26 encompasses all or part of 8 cities. So we're starting off with the suburban cities and having town halls, virtual town halls right now. We had one last week with the city of Balcones Heights, where our office is located at Wonderland Mall. And we have one this Wednesday evening with Castle Hills. And we have subsequent meetings. If you have Facebook, We have those. I can email those to you. If you can help share it, that would be great. We will have one for the city of San Antonio later in November. We are starting with our suburban cities this time around. And again, these are free and you're welcome to participate even if you don't live in any of those cities. If you want to zoom in, the Zoom ID number is 869-3910-8381, and the password is town hall altogether. And I can include that in the chat. You can call our office again, 210-733-6604 to RSVP or if you have any questions. Our office is also working with other state senators on the Senate Hispanic Caucus. A couple of years ago, we had one here in San Antonio. This is open to anyone in the state of Texas if you would like to participate. These are dealing with issues from a Latino perspective on COVID-19, pre-K through 12 education, higher education, immigration, civic engagement, and the census. And we have that information if you'd like to get that, the meeting ID. Also, voting early vote is October 13th through the 30th. And if you don't know if you're still on the voter rolls or if you're registered, 210-335-8683 is the number to call for the elections. Food insecurity is a big issue right now. Know that the San Antonio Food Bank has a couple of large food distribution events coming up November the 13th and December the 11th. The number to find out more information and to pre-register for those is 210-431-8326. And lastly, but also very important, is the mental health support line that the state of Texas has set up. It's a 24/7 line statewide to provide mental health support for Texans experiencing any anxiety or stress or emotional challenges due to COVID-19. And that number, and again, I'll put that in the chat as well, 833-986-1919. If you have any questions, I'm available. Thank you so much for your time and for all that you do for your neighborhood.
Thank you. Thank you. Good to see you again, Ana Lucia.
Great to see you.
We're going to interrupt. Sorry, Bernadette. We're going to break in here for a second. And Kim is.
Is there one more?
There is one more though. We need time to get it worked out afterwards, right?
Okay. Okay, we're gonna multitask.
Hey, Kim, you're on mute.
Was Daniel also on mute?
Yes.
Yes. Oh, okay, awesome. Thanks to you so much for saying something while the rest of you sat there and laughed. Okay, so first I'm going to congratulate, believe it or not, we have a three-way tie. So Sean, I'm going to congratulate, you are on the board next year. And then the other three, believe it or not, I don't know what the chances are of this, but we have a three-way tie with the other three of you. And so I've made a new poll. The same link will take you there. I'm going to paste it into the chat, and same rules for voting, and hopefully we can get this knocked out pretty quickly.
So I'll pick two.
Yeah, I'm gonna, sorry?
Only pick two.
Yeah, I'm sorry, pick two this time. So we don't end up in the same situation. And thanks to everyone who stuck around. Appreciate the patience.
Kim, the form is saying it's no longer accepting responses again.
Sorry, if you refresh, it should work now.
Still no luck here, I'm afraid.
Yeah, same thing for us.
It worked for me. I just had to refresh one more time.
Yeah, sorry, votes are coming in, so I don't know what's.
Make sure you're using the new link that she sent out.
Yep, I'm doing so. Maybe it. Okay, doing an incognito window so it doesn't
I
remember
was
who
just
you are
gonna,
seems to help.
yeah, I was going to suggest that. Is anyone else still having trouble getting it to load properly?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna make a second link. Either of them will work. Just give me just.
Does it look right here? I can do it right here.
Be sure and mute yourself again, everyone. Or
Okay, I don't know if this will actually work because it's a new short link, but it's going to the same form. But if you do the same URL and add a number 2 at the end of it, then everyone cross their fingers for me.
that one worked for me.
If anyone else is having trouble, just holler.
This time it did not ask for my email, so I hope it remembered me.
I'm not going to sweat it.
Okay, was everyone able to?
Oh, is that going to screw it up for people sharing computers? What do we have left?
Oh, we only did one vote.
We just voted, it didn't screw up.
Well, you were both able to vote?
Yes.
Okay. Well, we'll see. We'll see.
Just did one.
While we're putting that together, I'm going to throw it back over to Bernadette. Just with us.
Yes,
there we
thank
go.
you so much. There you go. Can everyone hear me? Cool. Good. Yes.
Yeah, you're good. You're good.
Okay, great. Yes, good. Yes, hello everyone. Thank you so much for having me. I am the field representative for Congressman Doggett's San Antonio District Office, and I do want to go ahead and highlight that I'm going to drop a sign-in sheet here in the chat so that you all can stay up to date with the congressman, just like we like to stay up to date with you all. We want you to know what's going on with our office. And voting, that I'm just going to go ahead and jump right in it. We have voting. It takes place tomorrow, and I'm sure you all already have the duration of early voting on your calendars, the 13th through the 30th. If anyone is still needing to vote by mail, make sure that they complete their applications as soon as possible. If they are 65 and older, automatically qualify. Under 65, you do have to go ahead and apply, but the deadline to request a ballot is October 23rd. So make sure everyone, you are taking care of that. The sooner you do it rather than later, the better. I'm also going to drop that link down here in the chat. You can do it on our website, doggett.house.gov/voting safely. And yes, our team is working remotely right now, but just because we are remote doesn't mean that we're not accessible. So any problems you're having, any issues with the IRS, veteran benefits, Social Security, notice anything suspicious with the post office, please let us know. Our phone number is 210-704-1080. That's our office line. And you can also email us directly, lloyd.doggett@mail.house.gov. I'm also going to drop those in the chat here. And I do want to go ahead and just highlight a great accomplishment on September 21st. The House of Representatives passed the Texas Legation Memorial Act, which is HR 3349, in case you want to go look that up later. But it was introduced and authored by Representative Doggett, and the Republic of Texas Legation Memorial Act would authorize the Daughters of the Republic of Texas to establish a commemorative work in DC to recognize the Texas legation. So exciting news. I just wanted to go ahead and highlight that huge point for our office. And again, please stay in touch with us with any federal matters or just any issues of concern. Please get a hold of us. Thank you all so much.
Thank you. Okay,
and please sign it. Yeah.
Thanks for coming out. I believe this is your first meeting with us, right?
It is, yes.
Welcome. Sorry you got such a long one. They aren't usually quite this long, but thanks for hanging around. Okay, I think we are ready with our results. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Let's see if I can unmute this time. Alrighty, well, thank goodness there's not another runoff. It was very close, but I'm going to congratulate Joe Tick and Gina Hashimoto. You'll be joining the board for the next year as directors. And Chris, I really appreciate you reaching out to me last week or 2 weeks ago and wanting to become more involved, and hope that we continue to see you at meetings because I do agree that south of Woodlawn, we don't have a lot of representation. And I think that was a really good point. So there you go. Congratulations to the new board, and also great job, outgoing board, whoever's left here.
Thank you, Kim. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Chris. And yeah, even if you didn't get on the board this time around, there are so many ways that you can be involved in the neighborhood association. So,
oh, absolutely. Like, you know, you've seen me at the meetings before. Like, I'm not going anywhere. My family's been here 80 plus years. So my people say, we're here to stay. You feel me?
Well, we need that kind of, we need that energy.
We're coming for you.
Enthusiasm.
300.
Would those of you who are new members of the board, Joe and Gina, and I feel like I'm missing somebody, would you give me your, make sure I've got your proper contact information, email and phone numbers? You got both of them? Okay, so I need to put the list together for the new board orientation. So I think we finally got that wrapped up. Does anyone else have any last comments or questions or, yeah?
My last one, as always, is if the most important people to me are those that are delivering the newsletter. Thank you to all who do. If there's anybody out there who would like to add themselves to the list of the wonderful people who volunteer to hand deliver the newsletter to the 2,200 households we have, please get in contact with me. My name is on the back of the newsletter. It's, you know, Susan Breidenbach. So please contact me if you're interested in walking newsletters.
Thank you very much. I appreciate everyone coming out tonight, and especially staying a little long. It was kind of a longer meeting than usual, so I appreciate your hanging in there. This is an important one where we help choose our own leadership to guide the neighborhood over the next year. So I'm glad you played a part in that. And I'm going to be stepping back a little bit. I wasn't expecting to do 2 years as president, but I have by and large enjoyed it. Some moments a little stressful, but I'm glad I did it. But I also need a little bit of a break. So I want to thank you all for all your support on the last couple of years. But, everyone, good night, and we'll see you soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Daniel.
Yeah, thank you again for all you've done, Daniel.
Thank you, Daniel. Much appreciated.
Thanks.
Good night, everyone.
Bye.
Yeah.
Viva la colina!
So, Daniel? Daniel?